What's up guys, it's Dorian from Cravings, and today we have a true Draco deck profile that is undefeated at locals and is actually doing really well performance-wise. To start, obviously we're playing 6 monsters. We play the 1 Dynamite, Dynamite's your Trap Searcher. Ignis Heat is at 3. Ignis Heat gets you your spells. You're gonna need Ignis to be a lot of your main monster. The unfortunate part is I always want to cut this down because Hita is able to summon this out of the grave for free. Because it's a special summon, or it's a normally summoned fire monster. And I want to bump Maiden up to 3 and cut Ignis down 1 more, just because getting monsters these days seems to be a little bit more particular without playing Waterfall. But this is your standard monster lineup should you be playing anything else. You can include the double border, but you just have to cut down your Ignis and maybe your Maiden, just so that you have access to all your monsters without bricking a lot more than expected. We don't play border in this build though, just because I find that border's a little bit more complicated in the meta, and I would have enjoyed border at the most recent regional where I lost to Danger Dark World. Border would have been a lot better, and none of the floodgates actually stop anything out of the gate, but we'll get into that a little bit later. That's it for the monsters though. Obviously we play 3 of our engine specific spells. 3 Diagram gets you anything you need, Heritage if you want to be greedy, and of course Disciples to reshuffle everything back into your deck. Very, very relevant, always good to have. And they'll always play 3 of those, but if you need to Heritage without Diagram or a monster going first in your hand is basically a dead card. So I used to cut this down to 2. You can see that in previous profiles. I even side 1 out now in case I know I want to go first with a more invincible non-greedy board, and I just take Heritage out. With enough Disciples, you can always get what you need back. We play 3 card Demise because what's a Draco deck without Demise? However, we only played 2 Potted Duality. Shoutouts to Joe for these beautiful ultis. These Potted Dualities, I've been very on the precipice of I've seen people competitively play with 3. I find it bricks a lot, and I never want to set a spell that I'm going to use next turn. I always want everything that I set to be active at all times, and Potted Duality just doesn't seem to stick a lot more for me. I generally see it because you draw a ton, and if you open it, that's even better. But even at 2, sometimes you duality into duality, and that really sucks. So I prefer to keep it at 2. To fill in the extra draw though, we do play double Potted Desires. Shoutouts to myself for getting these ultis. These Potted Desires are really good. A lot of your deck is in 3s. The only time it's really per chance you want to use Desires after you Diagram, so at least you get a monster or dedicated trap, so you're not worried about it. I have lost a few games to Desires if you do it too early, or if you just get unlucky enough and your only opening draw card is Desires. But sometimes you get really lucky and you can Desires into Duality, into Demise, and your deck just starts flowing. Next, we have 2 of the main cards, the one-ofs. We got a Terraforming and an Upstart. Upstart is you're going first and you want to open 6 cards just for more optimal play and flowcharts. Draw a card, give them 1,000. You're not really going to OTK going first especially, so giving them 1,000 life points is not big of a deal. Terraforming, you always need to see Diagram. I considered set rotation in this deck as well for a different kind of build, but it just didn't fit well in testing. So we stuck with just the Terraforming. Last for the spells, we played double Call by the Grave. Call by the Grave is relevant because of a lot of the graveyard filling right now. You can banish Array. I didn't see a striker. I haven't seen a striker in 2 weeks, a pure striker deck. But getting rid of Array, or getting rid of a Symbol Skeleton, or a Dingirsu, or a Galatea, just to negate the effects on their turn and my turn is really good. Call by the Grave works really well against a lot of the hand traps that you see, so you never have to set it when you activate Demise and hoping that they ash you. It just works out really well. Playing it at 2 has been consistent enough because you always get it, and if you do get it a lot more than you want, you can always set it and use it on their turn. I like Call by the Grave a lot, and I'm probably going to keep it at 2. Off to the traps, we play 4 skill drains. The 3 Monarchs Erupts, which are pretty much mandatory. You could cut this down to 2 and just keep the skill drain. I started siding when you play against decks that the monster effects don't really matter much, like the danger cards or anything else. I started siding these 2 out. It's likely that you always run to a monster, but if you find that you're running into monsters less and you're really worried about it, just keeping these two in the deck for going second is really good, because you can always run into these later. They are hard draws, you can't search them, but at least it's better than not having a skill drain that affects everything. The Monarch's Erupt is like one of the best cards in the game right now, by far. This one was a tough call. I find that sometimes I'm really happy with 3 Crackdown, and sometimes I'm really not happy with it. I noticed that it disrupts the opponent. It makes them focus a lot more on this card and not on the other floodgates that you might have. But in doing so, the main outs are like Twin Twister, or they're okay with like stealing the monster back with their own Crackdown. It's really weird. I would have preferred this to be like Summon Limit, because as much as it disrupts the opponent, I'm not playing an extra deck, so I'm not making a Dingirsu on top of Galatea. I'm not really using the monster to link away at all. I would have just preferred like another kind of floodgate than something that just takes their monster. And in a format where I'm using there can only be one, and you're running into a lot more true Dracos, it just doesn't feel necessary to steal the monster and then tribute summon it, because they get the monster back, and if it goes to their grave, they're going to use it anyways. So this is kind of like the only real reason it's helpful is because it steals it and it holds it on field. And I try to just hold the monster for as long as possible so that I'm just retaining a resource that they need. You can do this with Jack Jaguar. You can do this with, I use this on Dingirsu a lot just to hold it, because they keep a minimal amount, or even IP Masquerena, or the target they use for IP Masquerena. It's helpful, but not amazing. I would dispute, like I'm still playing at 3. I haven't changed it yet, but I would really like to maybe cut down the skill drains to 2 and play this at 2 and put in like 2 summon limit just to give it a little bit more variance, but we'll see. Finally, we have our 3 There Can Only Be One. Still really good against Salad, still really good against pretty much all of the format. It protects you from anything that might kill you. The decks can't kill you, and you can always just set this and flip this on Triple Colossus, because that's the board that they're going to make on you most of the time if they know what you're playing. So this isn't that bad. It only stops you from OTKing, but you retain control, and if you can play patiently, then you're good enough with this card. Finally, our True Draco Traps, can't forget about them. 3 True Draco Apocalypse, 1 Return. Return is your special summon of the deck. It's your Call of the Haunted. It allows you to tribute summon on their turn, and it lets you pop monsters. Apocalypse lets you half attack. A lot of the parts about True Draco that people like, they just don't understand, it took me forever to learn them, are the interactions in between battle and damage step, and when you can activate this card to tribute summon, and when you can activate this card to pop a card. Even people to this day still don't know that it is a soft once per turn. So if you have a 1 True Draco Apocalypse and another True Draco Apocalypse, and let's say you have more cards, you can activate this one to half attack, and you can activate this one to half attack. Not in the same chain, but you can use them effectively together. And even if one goes, the only effect that is the hard once per turn is the pop effect when it goes to grave. If you use that effect, you cannot use that effect again, which is why your limitations are only to these two of these True Draco Traps. You're only going to get 2 monster pops, and you're only going to get 2 spell or trap removals with the spells. And yeah, that's it for the main deck. Let's jump into the side. As you can tell from the beginning of the video, the side always will consist of Lancia. It didn't come up as often. I have been playing non-stop siding in Lancia and like never seeing it. I don't know if it's because there are secrets now. I don't know exactly what I'm doing to not see this card. If I do see it, it's because I'm drawing into it later and not being able to play it because I've used Demise. So setting it is enough, but like there aren't enough. You can't pop any of your spells on your turn unless you're tribute summoning or using the trap to pop a spell and then pop this, which gets very complicated because by then you already have floodgates. So realistically, I haven't enjoyed playing Lancia. I might even just, like if you're gonna win die rolls or just hope that you do it, I might just play Iron Wall. I really want to play Iron Wall. Imperial Iron Wall is just a better situation in this deck, but this is a going second situation where like you just want to open it so that you can use it on them to stun their turn, and hopefully I can see more of this. Nibiru has done okay. Where I play, a lot of people have been understanding not to play so aggressively, and Nibiru has really worked out. in the decks and in the matchups that don't think that I'm siding this card. I don't know why they don't assume. I think they just kind of hope that I don't have it. Salad, they have to play through it, so you always side it in. But a lot of the time you're really just getting rid of like a few other pieces that they make and not necessarily getting rid of the important cards. So this has only been really good so far against Thunder, so far that I've seen, but I have a better card that I'm hoping to play more of actually, that you'll see a little bit later, or I'll just get to it right now because we're pretty much done the 2-ups. I like really like this card right now. With all of the traps and a lot of the consistent like monster conditions forcibly making you, requiring you to have a monster of a certain type on board to activate the counter trap, in Salamangreat and in Orcust for Crescendo, and in like other decks too, it just like is so relevant that you can just like tribute their monster and negate like the whole board basically. I don't want to play extra removal when I can just tribute the one problematic monster and just deal with the rest. Like if you want to, like you can always attack over the Galatea, but you can tribute the ding away and then it can't protect anything. Like it's so good and it doesn't cause destruction, it doesn't activate a monster effect, it's just so good and you beat over it. So like it's easy. Someone kaiju'd me on my, like someone did this to me at a regional, they kaiju'd me and it was a tribute summon monster, so like not Stormforth, Erupt still works. Like Erupt is still live with the kaiju on field. So like that was also really fun too. So it's just neat interactions like that where Gamma Seal really works out. I'm probably going to bump this up to 3 just because it's so relevant and it's easy to get around. It's easy to get rid of from your hand, diagram it away if you don't want it, but like it's such a good card. It can be any kaiju. You want to go low because of attack damage, but you could go like all the way up to Radiant. But yeah, 3 reboot for back row. People are siding in evenlies to play against me. People are siding in reboots to play against me. So you play the reboots in response to their reboot. I don't know how many people really understand this. You're playing this card to stop someone from flipping a trap on you that prevents you from flipping a trap. Not playing it because you're worried about traps. You're not worried about traps. This is just like a fun counter. It's like Judgment, but just for the evenly and for pretty much anything else. You just can't use this to get rid of twins, which is the unfortunate part. To get rid of twins, you play this card. And this I want to bump up to 3, just because it's like an any card negate. This is better than reboot, except it's not reboot. You need reboot for the counter trap, because the only way you can respond to reboot is with reboot or a Judgment. Strike of the Monarchs is you can respond to anything that's not a counter trap. So Twin Twister, Cosmic Cyclone, whatever you want, another monster effect. Basically, that's why it's at 2, it's not at 3, because the counter traps are so relevant right now. But this is a 1 card, draw a card, tribute a monster. Sometimes you need it because you're on, there can only be 1 and it's your only monster, but it's relevant. Like it's really relevant. And it comes up a lot more than you think. So I don't know. I don't know if it's better than like Magic Deflector, but like this seems to be a lot better of a situational card. And then finally, we have 2 Dark Ruler No More for the combo, Thunder, big board players that make a board that you can't get out of. I had to use this against a guy who was in the Danger Dark World deck because he made a Saryuja pointing down towards a Tri-Gate that was linked sideways by both a Phoenix and a Nightmare Cerberus, and they were all linked so they all couldn't be destroyed by battle or card effect, and it was like really stupid. So if you just Dark Ruler it, you get rid of it. He can't respond to it, so this was like the best situation ever, and it was just relevant. This and Colossus, that's pretty much it. That's all you're really worried about. And that's pretty much it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you liked the video, subscribe for more quality content. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below, what you think about my changes, what you think about my ratios, and if you have any suggestions, feel free to let me know. I'd love to try it. Thank you so much, and we'll see you in the next one.